Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias.
Hi everybody. If you follow the channel, you probably already saw a post on this in the community section of the page. This is the Highland Bowie. Big box, big knife. This is the RR1730. So as you can tell, also 1730, they're already in the 2500 now. So this knife has been around for a while, more or less. A version of this knife has been around for a while. It was discontinued a couple years back because, well, the knife was not made the way Rough Ryder had intended it to be made. And they were a little upset about it, and definitely the people who had purchased the first ones were upset about it because this knife was said to have had a full tang, but the original version of it did not have a full tang. It had what is known as an encapsulated tang. And for those who are wondering what an encapsulated tang is, here it is on another Rough Ryder knife. This is the old Mountain Man Bowie. I'm rehandling it, so I took off the old covers for it, or the old scales for it, and you can see what an encapsulated tang is. And there's a reason for using an encapsulated tang, and I'll have a video coming up about why some knives have an encapsulated tang. But the reason you may not notice that a knife has an encapsulated tang is because if you notice, if a handle was on here, you wouldn't notice what's going on here because it would all be hidden by the handle covering this area up, and you would see the top part of the blade and you think, oh, well, the blade is going all the way through, unless you look closely at the guard, and the guard is the dead giveaway, because if you notice the guard, there's only a small hole where the blade is going through the guard, and then it looks like the same size on the other side. And that's because what you have is actually a partial push tang that goes through the guard, and then you have the handle getting mated up to the partial push tang, and in this case it is welded in place. I've also seen partial tangs that are just set in place or screwed in place. Not a good idea, but at least this one is welded in place. And sometimes you'll see a much longer encapsulated tang going into the handle. But this is a common practice that's been around for centuries. However, is not what most people would consider a true full tang knife. And not only were Rough Ryder fans upset about it, and people who had actually bought the original Highlander Bowies upset about it, Rough Ryder itself was upset about it because that was not the original specs of the knife. The original specs of the knife had this knife being produced with a full tang, and somewhere along the way in the factory decided to either cut corners or found it difficult to make the knife with a full tang, so they went with the encapsulated tang. And you had a knife that looked very similar to this, almost identical to this knife, but with an encapsulated tang. Now this one has a full tang, and I'll show you how you can point that out, how you can spot it on this knife in just a minute. But let's go over the knife real quick because I've already talked long enough about this. Now, as I had already mentioned, this is the Highlander Bowie, the RR1730 Highlander Bowie. It is by Rough Ryder. The overall length of this knife is 16 inches long from pommel to tip. The blade length comes in at 10 3/4 inches long. You see that there is a forward finger choil, or a choil forward of the guard. So you have a cutting edge on this blade that is only about 9 1/4 inches long. The top edge here is just a swedge. It is not a cutting edge, and you notice it is a nice little drop point. Well, little is probably the wrong word. A big drop point going on here, and nice swedge that runs pretty much the entire length of the cutting edge on the other side. And if you notice, it's got a two-tone finish on there. Both of them are a satin finish. This, I guess you could say, is more like a stone wash. And then this is a natural satin finish. You have a fuller that runs on both sides of the blade, so it's really nice looking. And then you have a black micarta handle with a red spacer. The red spacer is common on a lot of the Highlander knives, and you've got also a red underlayment going on there. And then you have a nickel silver pommel. Or, nope, you know what? This is actually a brushed stainless steel pommel also, and you got a brushed stainless steel guard going on. Now, what they did in this knife is they did make this full tang, and what they have done is the blade blank includes the actual center portion of the guard. So all of it from tip to pommel is all one solid piece, including the center portion of the guard. And if you look carefully, you probably will not see it here, but I'll put some inset pictures in. You will see that the guard here is actually three pieces. So the center part is actually part of the knife blade and also going into the handle, and then two parts have been pinned to it on either side, and then they have just basically polished it so that you will not see the seams. However, if you look in the front here, you will definitely be able to spot the seams. And then everything else here is pinned into the handle. You got a wonderful palm swell in that black Delrin handle there. It really feels good, and it's pretty even on both sides. And then you have a pinned on pommel at the end with a lanyard hole going through the bottom there. And also the micarta is pinned on with brass rivets there, or brass pins. I'm not sure exactly what is holding it there, but it looks like brass pins, so that's what I would go with. Very nice knife, very firm, very sturdy. It is using a 448 stainless steel, so I know a lot of people are going to complain about that. They would have preferred a carbon steel, in which case they would have had to use a carbon steel guard and everything else, so it all fade the right way. But the 440A is not a bad steel. Matter of fact, the steel that Baron Son is using in their Gold Rush Bowie is a 4116, which is very similar to a 440A. It's not that much better or worse. And also, obviously, Buck uses a lot of 420 high carbon steel, so in their knives, and people don't seem to complain about that. But in any case, really nice 440A stainless steel blade going on. Wonderful micarta. And the sheath is not that shabby either. I know a lot of people would have rather had a leather sheath, but I actually kind of like nylon sheaths, mainly because you can put the knife in there and not worry about it rusting or anything else. And it is a dangly sheath. It has a leather tie down here. I'll probably replace the leather tie down. And it has a black plastic insert inside there. I'm supposing I could probably remove that if I wanted to, but there's no reason to. And then, as you notice, they do have the I don't know if it's leather or a pleather, but it's an accent piece going across there that reads Rough Ryder. And then on the back side, you got two slots here, which would make the sheath a little bit MOLLE compatible if you needed to do that. Or if you were crazy enough and wanted to actually scalp carry this, I guess you could also scalp carry this. Now, the way the sheath is designed, I'm assuming it is set up for right-hand carry. And when you have it carrying it for right hand, if you notice, you got the snap going across here. And when you pull the blade out, it's not going to be cutting into the retaining strap. And the retaining strap does have that thing that Rough Ryder loves to do, and that is add that extra piece of rivet there to add a little more strength to the snap. So when you pop the snap out, you can get the knife out easy enough. Now the cool thing though is if you are left-handed, like some people I know, you can actually put this knife in the sheath backwards and it will fit in there just fine. The only problem is then when you're pulling it out, you do run the risk of actually cutting the retaining strap, because the retaining strap cannot be flipped all the way over to the other side. But still, if you want to carry it left-handed, you could actually carry this left-handed with the dangly sheath with no problem, which is pretty cool too. All in all, just a massive beast of a knife. It is truly a full tang knife now. Now, if you're ordering this knife, I would suggest ordering it from Smoky Mountain Knife Works, because I know they have the new version. I don't know if some of the other places still have stock of the old version, and you would end up getting the one with the encapsulated tang. But if you're definitely wanting the one with the full tang, then I would say order from the Smoky Mountain Knife Works. And I am not a spokesperson for them or anything like that. I'm not getting any money from them or anything like that. But if you're interested in getting the one with the full tang, that's where I would go at this point, unless the other place that you would be buying it from would, guarantee that the version you're getting is a full tang one. And like I said, the way you can tell if it's a full tang is just by looking up at the front here. And if you see like 3 different lines running up and around here, where you can see where the outside portions of the guard have been attached to the center portion of the guard, that's the way you're going to know it's a full tang knife. If you see a little bit of a gap down here, chances are that's the way you're going to notice that it is a partial tang. See? Can you see it there? And gap here and a wobbly guard, chances are it is an encapsulated tang. This one, the guard does not budge. There's no line down here, and there is a couple lines here, and you can actually feel a little bit of it when you rub your finger across it, that you know that the outside portions of the guard have been attached to the actual full tang blade that is running through the whole thing. And I might also mention that this thing came razor sharp. This was extremely sharp when it came. So, I mean, just slicing paper like crazy and everything else. I haven't taken it out and chopped up a watermelon yet or anything like that, but I have no doubt that it would do that. And it is definitely nice and pointy. So, we're talking about something that is a brute of a knife and a fully functional full tang knife. Really impressed with this thing, and it just feels nice in the hand. It feels very comfortable. The balance point is right there at the guard. I don't think that I would be throwing this knife. I don't think it's really designed for throwing. I do know that SMKW does have a full tang Highland throwing knife that is maybe a little bit smaller than this. Might have to pick that up too. But in any case, really happy with this. Very pleased with the way it looks. Very pleased with the way it feels. It stacks up really nice compared to several of my other Bowies. And the finish on this thing is just fabulous. I really do like this one. It's just a great looking piece. And fully functional. Still, I wouldn't go and try and take on a bear with it or anything like that, but you know what it was designed for, and definitely definitely something that's going to impress people if you decide to cut your steak with it at the next cookout, though. No doubt about that, too. Anyway, with that said, I'll let you go. Stick around for some slides.
let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.